Hey guys, today we stand at the threshold of a storm's eye, the wind whipping around us, our heartbeat drumming in our ears as life's pressures swirl without mercy. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. But only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Share your location and local time down in the comments so we can all connect from wherever we are. Now, open phone screen, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into today's journey together. You feel it already, don't you? That subtle tightening behind your eyes, the whisper of doubt that creeps in whenever decisions loom. You know what it's like to freeze when a critical choice demands clarity, to feel the sweat gather at your temples as the world seems to close in. But imagine, just for a moment, that you could carry a quiet calm inside you, a lighthouse beacon shining through mental fog. That's where this journey begins. You're not here by accident. Something inside you recognizes that it's time to transform panic into poise, chaos into clarity. As you listen, you'll begin to see how calmness isn't a passive state, but an act of art, and how critical thinking isn't cold logic, but a powerful compass guiding you through life's wildest storms. Picture a mountain bathed in dawn light, its peak lost in swirling mist. The path ahead looks impossible, jagged rocks and icy slopes blocking your way. Yet you lace up your boots, feel the crisp air fill your lungs, and take that first step. With every footfall, you learn to steady your breath, to let doubt slip away like water over stone. You're building a mental toolkit that will carry you across treacherous ridges and through howling gales toward that summit of unwavering clarity. Here's the promise. By the time you finish this section, you'll have laid the groundwork for a shift in how you face pressure. No more flinching when choices arise. No more letting stress hijack your judgment. Instead, you'll learn to anchor yourself in calm, turning tensions into focus, and from that place of equilibrium, you'll unlock the smart, decisive thinker you were meant to be. You inhale, and for a moment, the world softens. You feel air filling your lungs, your chest rising like the gentle swell of a calm sea. And as you exhale, tension drips away from your shoulders, dissolving into the floor beneath you. This simple cycle of breath, mindful breathing, is your first tool in cultivating a calm mindset. It's your refuge you build within, ready to weather any storm life throws your way. Imagine stepping into the eye of a hurricane. Outside, chaos rages, wind howling, debris swirling, rain lashing, yet here, you stand in perfect stillness. That stillness isn't magic. It's a skill you're about to master. Throughout this section, you'll practice grounding, breath work, body scans, micro-meditations, posture resets, walking meditations, and mindset shifts that anchor you to the present moment. These techniques weave seamlessly into your daily life, becoming instinctive responses to stress's first whisper. Your mind can spiral into worst-case scenarios in milliseconds. Grounding harnesses the power of your five senses to tether you back to now. Wherever you are, your desk, your car, a park bench, begin by looking around and naming 5 things you can see: the grain of wood on your desk, the curve of a coffee mug, the edge of your phone, a blurred pattern on the wall, a flicker of movement outside. Then touch 4 things: the smooth ceramic of your mug, the texture of your pant leg, the cool metal of a pen, the soft fabric of your chair. Listen for 3 sounds: the hum of electronics, distant traffic, your own breath. Identify 2 smells: the faint aroma of coffee, the crisp scent of paper. Finally, taste 1 thing: a sip of water, the mint of toothpaste, the slight sweetness on your tongue. This 5 before 3 to 8 and 1 cycle draws your attention out of spirals of worry and into raw sensation. In a high-pressure meeting, before you answer a tense question, run through these steps silently. Your focus snaps to reality and anxiety loosens its grip. Breathing is your most accessible ally. Practice the 4 to 7 and 8 cycle. Inhale silently through your nose for a count of 4. Hold for 7. Exhale audibly through your mouth for 8. Repeat 4 times. Slowing your breath activates your parasympathetic nervous system, signaling safety to your brain. When stress spikes, an unexpected email, a looming deadline, a heated exchange, pause and do just 1 cycle. Feel heart rate slow, mind clear, muscles soften. Another powerful variation is box breathing. Visualize a square. Inhale for 4 counts along the top edge. Hold for 4 counts along the right side. Exhale for 4 counts down the other edge. Hold for 4 counts at the bottom before beginning again. Imagine each side of the box as a steady rhythm, creating a container for your focus. Even 30 seconds of box breathing unlocks a reservoir of calm. Stress hides in your body, a clenched jaw, hunched shoulders, tight hips. A body scan uncovers and releases these tension traps. Find a quiet moment. Close your eyes or soften your gaze. Bring attention to the crown of your head. Notice sensations, tightness, warmth, tingling. Breathe into that area, imagining softening. Slowly shift focus. Forehead, eyes, cheeks, jaw. Ease any clench. Move to your neck and shoulders. Visualize breath melting knots. Continue down arms, hands, chest, back, abdomen, hips, thighs, calves, feet. With each exhale, imagine stress flowing out like dark smoke, leaving space for ease. You don't need a cushion or a special room. Every transition, standing in line, waiting for an elevator, walking to your car, can host a micro-meditation. For 1 minute, close your eyes or soften your vision. Focus on breath, counting inhales and exhales up to 10. Then begin again. Notice the subtle rise and fall, or observe your surroundings without judgment. Colors, shapes, movement. These brief pauses interrupt autopilot, granting moments of clarity that accumulate like raindrops filling a vessel. Stress often lurks in your posture. Slumped shoulders and a bowed head signal your brain that pressure is high. Combat this with hourly desk checks. Sit tall, feet flat, hips at 90 degrees, spine lengthened, shoulders relaxed, down and back, chin parallel to the floor. Place hands lightly on thighs. Close your eyes for 2 deep breaths, feeling alignment through your spine. Open your eyes and notice how upright posture supports better breathing, sharper focus, and a calmer nervous system. If you can step away, practice walking meditation. In a quiet corridor or open space, walk slowly and deliberately. Feel each phase of your step. Heel strike, roll through midfoot, push off with the toes. Lift, coordinate breath. 2 steps on the inhale, 2 on the exhale. Pay attention to balance shifts, the ground underfoot, the rhythm of movement. This exercise reconnects you with the embodied present and can be done for as little as 1 minute, remoting a racing mind. In high-stress scenarios, a tense client call, a heated argument, an urgent deadline, you often react on autopilot. Introduce a mindful pause before you speak or act. Take 1 full breath or run a quick grounding check. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, or 4 to 7, 8. Even a 5-second pause creates space for intention, transforming knee-jerk reactions into measured responses. Stress thrives on assumption. I know how this goes. You think, then trip over blind spots. Adopt a beginner's mind. Approach each situation as if it's brand new, free of preconceptions. Ask curious questions. What am I missing? What if this holds an unexpected opportunity? Like a child encountering a puzzle, you unlock creativity and openness, dissolving rigidity that fuels stress. A calm mind balances tension with appreciation. When pressure mounts, switch focus to gratitude. List 3 things you appreciate right now: the warmth of a mug in your hands, the reliability of your internet connection, the kindness of a colleague's greeting. This simple reframing isn't ignoring problems. It lowers the baseline of stress, making anxiety spikes shorter and shallower. Over time, gratitude rewires your brain to default toward calm and resilience. Make calm habitual by scheduling mini breaks. Set calendar reminders for 2 or 3 mindful moments daily. When the alert chimes, pause regardless of context and choose one practice: 2 minutes of breath work, a 1-minute body scan, a quick sensory grounding, or a gratitude pause. These micro appointments are non-negotiable. They bolster resilience and prevent stress from accumulating invisibly. Your mind will wander, memories, worries, to-do lists barging in. When a thought intrudes, label it gently: planning, worry, memory, criticism. Then let it drift by like a cloud. Return focus to breath or sensation. You're not suppressing thoughts. You're training your mind to notice and release, preventing emotional hijacks. Design a personal anchor, a word, a small gesture, or a tangible object. You might silently say "steady" on each exhale, or touch your index finger to your thumb, or carry a smooth stone in your pocket when stress strikes. Hold and press it, reminding yourself to return to calm. Repetition builds an automatic cue response in your brain, making calm accessible instantly. If calm doesn't arrive immediately, be patient. Mindfulness isn't about perfection. It's about noticing your state and gently shifting it. If frustration surfaces, this isn't working. Choose self-kindness. It's okay to feel restless. I'm practicing. That compassionate stance fuels perseverance rather than adding guilt to stress. Embed mindfulness in everyday activities: brushing teeth, washing dishes, brewing coffee. Focus on every sensory detail: the sound of running water, the scent of soap, the texture of the brush. These routine anchor points transform chores into practice grounds, weaving calm into the fabric of your life. After a mindfulness pause, carry calm forward into action. Feel the echo of your final breath in your chest. Let that serene undercurrent inform your next move: typing an email, leading a meeting, tackling a problem. You're not switching between calm and productivity. You're infusing everything you do with measured composure. By mastering these techniques, you build a personal toolkit that resets your nervous system on demand. Stress pressures you to react. Mindfulness enables you to respond. As you weave these practices into your day, you'll catch stress earlier before it escalates, maintaining an inner sanctuary of calm that underpins smart, clear thinking in any situation. You sense that familiar tightening in your chest the instant you err or miss a cue. Your mind seizes on every misstep and whispers, "You're not enough." Today, you refuse that script. Instead, you choose self-compassion, greeting that inner critic with warmth and understanding. This is not indulgence. It's resilience training. You're forging a heart that holds you steady when pressure mounts, so your mind can think clearly rather than being hijacked by shame. Imagine standing before a mirror immediately after a setback. Your reflection's eyes glint with disappointment. Normally, you'd lash out inside your own head. How could you miss that deadline? You're incompetent. But now, you place a gentle hand over your heart and murmur, "I see you tried. I'm proud you showed up." That simple act rewires neural pathways, linking moments of failure to kindness rather than self-attack. Over time, your brain learns mistakes mean care, not condemnation. First, you must notice the critic's voice. It often arrives under the radar, an unbidden thought. "You should have known better." Or a gut-level sinking sensation. When you detect that slipstream of self-judgment, pause, take a breath, and label it internally. This is self-criticism. By naming it, you create distance. The thought becomes an event, not your identity. You're an observer, not the victim of your own mind. Next, you reframe self-talk into supportive language. When the critic snarls, "You're a failure," you counter with, "Every misstep teaches me something valuable." If your mind insists, "You'll never get this right," you reply, "I'm learning, and progress takes time." Speak to yourself as you would to a dear friend, warmly, patiently, with unwavering belief in their growth. Feel each phrase as you voice it inwardly. Let's anchor this shift with a powerful exercise, the compassionate letter. Grab paper or open a blank document. Write as though you're addressing a close friend who just experienced exactly what you did. Begin. "Dear friend, I know you're disappointed. You put your heart into this, and it didn't turn out as planned. It hurts." Pour out your understanding. Acknowledge their effort. Normalize their feelings. Everyone faces setbacks. Highlight their strengths. Remember how you overcame bigger challenges. Close with encouragement. "I believe in your ability to learn and grow from this." Then, reread aloud, swapping "friend" for your own name. Notice how the words land differently when you own them. You're giving yourself permission to receive compassion. In the thick of stress, you need quick relief. Practice the mindful self-compassion break. Before a high-stakes call or after harsh feedback, stop. Place one hand over your chest. Breathe in and think, "This is a moment of struggle." Breathe out and say, "I'm not alone. Others feel this too." Inhale again and whisper, "May I offer myself the care I need." These 3 steps, acknowledgement, common humanity, and kindness, anchor you in shared experience and warmth, all cutting through isolation. Create a support library of compassionate phrases. Write down affirmations like, "I deserve patience." "My best effort is enough." "Setbacks don't define me." Post them on sticky notes. Set one as your phone wallpaper. Or record voice memos you can play. Each reminder trains your mind to default to compassion when stress arises. Visual cues deepen the impact. Choose an image that feels nurturing. A sunrise's gentle glow, a tender hug, a blooming flower. Keep it prominent. On your desk, your screensaver, or a locket. When self-criticism flares, glance at that image. Your brain associates it with safety, signaling a shift from judgment to care. Rewriting failure narratives cements growth. Every mistake lives inside a story. If you've told yourself, "I'm a failure," flip it. "This mistake highlighted where I can improve." Imagine you're an author editing your life novel. Swap dark, accusatory sentences with ones that emphasize learning and perseverance. Over weeks, these new narratives become your default chapters. Extend compassion to your body. Stress lodges in tight jaws, tense shoulders, clenched fists. When you feel a knot of tension, breathe into that area. With each exhale, imagine warmth flowing in, melting stiffness like snow under sunlight. Whisper, "I see you, a body. Thank you for keeping me going." Physical care reinforces emotional kindness. Goal setting through a compassionate lens transforms ambition. Instead of, I must succeed, choose, I will progress steadily. Break big goals into micro steps. With 1, draft an outline today. 2, seek feedback tomorrow. Method 3, revise and reflect by week's end. If a deadline slips, resist self-flagellation. Analyze what went awry. Forgive yourself and set a revised, realistic timeline. Compassionate goals foster sustainable growth rather than burnout. Guided compassion meditations deepen practice when you have time. Close your eyes. Picture someone you love dearly. Feel their warmth. Now turn that image inward. Envision wrapping yourself in a soft, golden light. Breathe deeply, letting that glow spread through your chest, arms, belly, legs, and down to your feet. Sit with that embodied kindness, absorbing it fully. Surprisingly, giving compassion externally bolsters your own self-kindness. Offer genuine support to a colleague under stress. A simple, I see how hard you're working, I'm here for you, not only lifts them, it triggers your own compassionate circuits, reinforcing kindness inward. Even on tough days when self-compassion feels distant, you can reboot with the simplest gesture. Place a hand over your heart and repeat, may I be gentle with myself. Physical contact plus intention cuts through mental barriers. Reigniting your internal ally, weave self-compassion into daily routines. Spilled coffee? Rather than scolding yourself, think, it's just coffee, I'll clean up and move on. Missed the bus? Offer yourself a gentle laugh. Adventure awaits on the next ride. By treating minor mishaps kindly, you strengthen compassionate reflexes for bigger challenges. Sustained self-compassion yields profound benefits. You'll notice diminished anxiety, clearer focus, and creativity flowing where stress once choked you. Cortisol spikes become shorter and softer. You step into problem solving with a balanced heart and a clear mind, decisions born of reflection, not panic. Consider Maya, the team leader who used to agonize over every email. She began her days by reading compassionate notes she'd written to herself. When critique arrived, she practiced 3 compassionate breaths, labeling the sting and offering warmth through it. Within weeks, her racing heart steadied and colleagues praised her calm presence. Her secret? She taught herself that every setback merited kindness, not guilt. As you stand here now, you possess a rich toolkit, compassionate letters, mindful breaks, visual anchors, reset cues, narrative rewrites, and a compassionate inner dialogue. You're not at the mercy of your inner critic. You are its compassionate guide. Embrace these practices daily. Let kindness flow to yourself first, then ripple outward. In this fertile soil of compassion, your calm mindset deepens and your capacity for smart, clear thinking under pressure blooms with unwavering strength. You feel the subtle pull of uncertainty when decisions loom, the question mark hovering at the edge of your vision, nudging you toward hesitation. Today, you claim clarity. You're about to define the essentials of critical thinking, those core principles that transform raw information into sound judgment. And you'll learn to distinguish fact from opinion, so your mind operates on solid ground, rather than drifting on clouds of assumption. Picture yourself standing at the shore of a vast ocean. Waves of data crashing around you, news articles, social media posts, expert reports, all clamoring for attention. Without a sturdy lighthouse of critical thinking, you risk capsizing in misinformation. But with these essentials, you build that lighthouse, a beam of clear logic and objective analysis that cuts through the fog. First, let's anchor in definition. Critical thinking is more than skepticism with crossed arms. It's an active process of evaluating information, questioning assumptions, and drawing reasoned conclusions. It's about curiosity, leaning in, asking a why, combined with structured analysis, mapping evidence, identifying gaps, and weighing alternatives. You're not a passive receiver of data. You're the analyst, the judge, the strategist. Every critical thought begins with a question. You must cultivate a mindset that sees every claim as a hypothesis, every statement as worthy of inquiry. When you encounter a new piece of information, ask, what is the main claim here? Why is it presented this way? What evidence supports it? What's missing? This practice isn't about doubt for its own sake. It's about ensuring your beliefs rest on firm evidence. Imagine you're reading an article that asserts, "This diet guarantees weight loss." Instead of accepting it at face value, you pause. You identify the claim, "weight loss guaranteed." Then you ask, who conducted the study? Was there a control group? How many participants? Were results replicated? By interrogating the source and methodology, you protect your mind from persuasive but flimsy arguments. Assumptions are the hidden currents beneath the surface of reasoning. They power arguments, but often go unexamined. A claim that remote work boosts productivity rests on assumptions. That employees have home environments conducive to focus. That managers trust staff to self-pace. That communication tools are flawless. If these assumptions don't hold, the claim falters. Your task is to spot these underlying beliefs. Whenever you hear a statement, you mentally ask, what has to be true for this to hold? Then challenge each premise. If you find an assumption unsupported or unrealistic, you adjust your conclusion. This process prevents blind spots, from office debates to global policy discussions. Evidence is the bedrock of critical thinking. Not all evidence is created equal. Anecdotes, while compelling, don't equate to systematic data. A friend's success story with a new productivity app doesn't prove it works universally. You need robust evidence, studies with rigorous design, expert consensus, reproducible results. When evaluating evidence, consider these criteria. Relevance. Does the evidence directly address the claim? Credibility. Is the source reliable? Peer-reviewed journals, reputable institutions, expert testimony. Sufficiency. Is the quantity of evidence enough? One study versus a body of research. Consistency. Do multiple sources converge on the same conclusion? Imagine you're researching whether a particular management style improves team morale. You find one glowing case study, great start, but you seek more, surveys across industries, meta-analyses, direct employee feedback. Only when evidence aligns across contexts can you embrace confidence. In today's information, tsunami facts and opinions blur dangerously. A fact is an objective statement verifiable by evidence. Water boils at 100 degrees Celsius at sea level. An opinion is a subjective judgment. Boiling water smells refreshing. When you can sort facts from opinions, you prevent emotional biases from masquerading as truths. Practice this skill continuously. When you read or hear a statement, label it silently, fact or opinion. If it's an opinion, ask, what evidence would I need to consider it fact? If it's a fact, ask, what's the source? How was it measured? This disciplined labeling builds mental hygiene. Your internal filter for information. Your reasoning must be coherent. Premises should lead smoothly to conclusions. If they don't, you've stumbled into a logical fallacy. Familiarize yourself with common pitfalls, ad hominem attacks, false dilemmas, slippery slopes, appeals to authority without evidence, circular reasoning. When you spot a fallacy, flag it and reevaluate the argument. For instance, someone might say, "You must adopt this software because our CEO said it's the best." That's an appeal to authority. You counter, "What empirical data supports its superiority?" Or MOR, "Either you're with us or against us," is a false dilemma, ignoring nuanced possibilities. By policing your own logic, you strengthen every decision. Critical thinking thrives on this paradox. Remain open to new ideas, yet demand robust evidence before acceptance. You avoid closed-mindedness, automatically rejecting anything outside your comfort zone, and gullibility, accepting claims without scrutiny. Achieve this balance by practicing intellectual humility. Recognize that no one knows everything and that you may be wrong. When you encounter a novel viewpoint, lean in with curiosity. How did they arrive at that conclusion? What evidence underpins it? Simultaneously, maintain a healthy dose of skepticism. Is this too good to be true? Could bias be at play? Over time, this dynamic tension hones your discernment. Random questioning is better than none, but systematic frameworks accelerate your progress. Tools like the CRAAP, test for sources, currency, relevance, authority, accuracy, purpose, or the RED model, recognize assumptions, evaluate evidence, draw conclusions, provide structured pathways, adopt one or more frameworks, and practice them until they become second nature. Your mental scaffolding for every complex issue. Here's a quick drill. Gather 3 recent headlines: politics, science, lifestyle. For each sentence in the headline, label F or O. Then write one supporting fact for each F and one question for each O. For example, headline: Experts claim climate change will devastate coastal cities. O. Experts claim. Verpentine. O. Opinion report of opinion. Question: Which experts? What's their evidence? O. Climate change. Dear OF, recognized phenomenon. Source: Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change reports. O. Will devastate coastal cities. Dear O. Forecast. Question: Which cities? What scenarios? By practicing regularly, you sharpen your ability to separate the solid from the speculative. You're in a meeting, and a colleague states, "Our sales dropped because the market is saturated." Rather than nodding along, you engage your critical thinking lighthouse. You ask, what data shows saturation? Are there other factors? Marketing strategies, product quality? Can we pull sales figures and market analyses to confirm? This inquiry isn't confrontational, it's collaborative clarity. You help the team avoid reactive assumptions and craft evidence-based solutions. In fast-paced environments, you may need quick judgments. That's okay. Use rapid heuristics like first principles thinking. Break claims down to foundational truths and rebuild logically. Or apply 80-20. Focus on the 20% of evidence that drives 80% of the outcome. But never skip entirely the steps of questioning assumptions and verifying evidence. At minimum, do a microversion of your full process. Embed these essentials into daily routines. Read one article each morning and run it through your fact versus opinion filter. Label assumptions and question each. Keep a journal of fallacies you spot in news or conversations. Debrief each week. Where did my reasoning trip? How did I strengthen my analysis? Over months, these habits transform you into a discerning information triage expert. Imagine a multi-lens telescope. Each lens represents one principle: questioning, spotting assumptions, evaluating evidence, labeling fact opinion, ensuring logic, balancing open-mindedness, applying frameworks. When you look through the assembled telescope, distant data points sharpen into coherent stars. You see the landscape clearly. Visualizing in this way strengthens neural pathways. Next time you face an ocean of claims, you'll instinctively deploy the telescope of critical thinking. As you close this section, take a moment to breathe deeply. You've laid the foundation. Critical thinking is not an abstract ideal, but a set of actionable skills you practice daily. You now know how to question purposefully, spot hidden assumptions, rigorously evaluate evidence, separate fact from opinion, enforce logical consistency, balance curiosity with skepticism, and apply systematic analysis. With this lighthouse shining brightly, you're equipped to navigate any information storm with confidence. The waves may still crash, but you stand firm on the shore, ready to chart the clearest course forward. You sit at your desk, reviewing data for tomorrow's presentation, when a subtle voice whispers, "This chart confirms our strategy is flawless." You smile, relieved, except that smile masks a trap. Confirmation bias, the tendency to seek and favor information that supports what you already believe. Today, you break free from these unseen mental shortcuts. You're about to uncover the most common cognitive biases, those hidden heuristics that steer your thinking off course, and learn how to spot them in real time. So your judgments rest on clear sight rather than warped-in lenses. Imagine your mind as a glass of water tinted by past experiences and beliefs. Every drop of information you pour in is colored by that tint. Uncovering biases means learning to hold that glass up to the light, noticing when hues distort the truth and rinsing it clean so you see things as they are. Throughout this section, you'll explore bias after bias, confirmation, availability, anchoring, overconfidence, Dunning-Kruger, fundamental attribution error, and more. And you'll practice concrete strategies to neutralize them. This is your default bias. You gravitate toward evidence that confirms your pre-existing beliefs and downplay or ignore anything that contradicts them. Think of a scientist who wants to prove a theory. She unconsciously picks experiments likely to succeed and overlooks anomalies. You do the same when preparing your pitch deck. You select success stories, gloss over setbacks, and mentally file away anything that casts doubt. To spot confirmation bias, adopt a devil's advocate stance. When you review conclusions, deliberately hunt for disconfirming evidence. Ask yourself, what would convince me I'm wrong? Or, how could this data be misleading? Schedule a bias check. For every point you make, list one piece of evidence that contradicts it. If you can't find any, pause. Are you looking hard enough? Even if the contradictory evidence is weak, acknowledging it strengthens your overall analysis. Memorable events loom larger in your mind. If you recently heard about a plane crash on the news, you overestimate the risk of flying. You think your commute is safer. This mental shortcut, judging probability by how easily examples spring to mind, can mislead decisions. When evaluating risk, your gut pings louder for dramatic stories than for routine statistics. Counter availability bias by broadening your data sources. Instead of relying on the latest headline, dig into long-term trends. When you notice a vivid story swaying you, pause and ask, is this anecdote representative? Look up the actual frequency of events. For instance, if you worry about project failure because a colleague's initiative flopped, research the company's overall project success rate. Balance vivid but rare cases with comprehensive metrics. You hear an initial number or idea and unconsciously anchor your subsequent judgments to it. If the first estimate for a project timeline is 3 weeks, you mentally adjust around 3, even if evidence suggests 5. Anchoring can skew negotiations, budgeting, forecasting, any scenario involving numbers. To break anchoring, generate your own estimates before hearing others. If a stakeholder mentions a budget number, resist the urge to comment immediately. Say, let me think independently first. Write down your own figure based on your analysis. Then compare. By forming an internal anchor, you reduce the power of external suggestions. You overestimate your abilities, knowledge, or control over events. You finish your to-do list in record time and think, I can crush this new project by next week, only to underestimate obstacles. Overconfidence fuels risky decisions and missed deadlines. To temper overconfidence, adopt a pre-mortem exercise. Before finalizing a plan, imagine it has failed catastrophically. Write down all reasons you can think of: resource shortages, unanticipated stakeholder objections, technical glitches. Then adjust your plan to address those risks. That mental negative scenario forces you to reckon with potential pitfalls, curbing inflated confidence. Here you oscillate between two extremes. When you're inexperienced, you overestimate how much you know. When you're highly skilled, you underestimate because subtle complexities reveal how much you don't know. It creates a valley of false confidence at beginner levels and an abyss of humility at expert levels. To guard against Dunning-Kruger, seek regular feedback. Ask peers or mentors to review your work critically. Document areas where you feel uncertain and pair them with questions you can research. Over time, this continuous review recalibrates your self-assessment. Maintain a learning journal. Record, today I learned, and today I realized there's more to understand about, and balancing confidence with curiosity. When someone else makes a mistake, you attribute it to their character. They're lazy. You think, ignoring situational factors. Yet when you err, you blame the context. I had too much on my plate. This double standard poisons teamwork and fairness. Combat this bias by always granting the benefit of the doubt. When evaluating others' actions, ask, what circumstances might have influenced that outcome? Write down possible situational causes before jumping to personal judgments. Over time, recognizing external factors in others' behavior fosters empathy and more accurate assessments. You let one positive trait taint your entire judgment, halo, or one negative aspect tarnish everything else, horns. Because a colleague delivered a stellar presentation last month, you assume all their work must be excellent. A minor slip today undermines your entire opinion of them. Neutralize these effects by segmenting evaluations. When you assess someone or something, list strengths and weaknesses separately for each dimension, or rather than giving a single overall score. Create a mini rubric with multiple criteria: communication, technical skill, reliability, and rate each. That granular approach prevents one standout quality from overshadowing everything else. You overweight recent experiences over more distant ones. If your last week was smooth, you assume future ease. If yesterday was rough, you forecast ongoing difficulties. Recency can warp planning and mood. To correct for recency, review a broader timeline. Instead of judging performance based on the last day or week, look at monthly or quarterly trends. When you catch yourself declaring, everything's great now, counter, let me check last 3 months of data. Conversely, after a bad day, remind yourself of past successes documented in your accomplishments log. You focus on success stories and ignore those that didn't make the cut. Reading profiles of startup founders who made it convinces you launching a company guarantees growth, overlooking countless failures. This bias can lead you to an overly optimistic view of outcomes. Guard against survivorship bias by actively seeking the tombstone data, near cases of failure. If you're studying best practices from successful projects, also research fallen initiatives and analyze their pitfalls. Balance success narratives with lessons from those who didn't survive, giving you a more realistic expectation of risk and effort required. Here's a drill to sharpen bias detection. At the end of each day, journal 3 decisions or judgments you made. For each, identify which bias may have influenced you: confirmation, availability, anchoring, or another. Then note one corrective action you could take next time. For instance, decision: approved a marketing campaign because recent competitor ads were similar. Bias: availability: recent competitor example readily came to mind. Correction: research broader industry trends before final approval. Create bias alerts: short phrases that trigger your critical attention, or post sticky notes on your monitor. Challenge your anchor. Seek disconfirming data. Pause for the premortem, or set calendar reminders labeled bias check at key decision times. Those prompts tug you back to deliberate analysis. Bias often festers unnoticed in teams. Organize a bias buster session. Present a current decision. Ask team members to call out possible biases without assigning blame. Use a whiteboard to categorize inputs: confirmation, recency, halo, etc. Discuss how to adjust the plan. This collective vigilance builds a culture of clear thinking and shared accountability. Whenever you catch yourself leaning into a conclusion, insert a mindful question. What evidence would change my mind? Or, which perspective am I missing? By disciplining your brain to pause and inquire, you create a mental gap where bias loses power. Schedule quarterly bias audits. Review past major decisions, evaluate outcomes, and identify biases that slip through. Did an anchoring bias cause an unrealistic budget? Did confirmation bias shape your hiring choices? By retrospectively mapping biases to outcomes, you refine future decision-making protocols. Uncovering biases isn't about perfection. It's about balanced judgment. You'll never eliminate every shortcut. Your brain relies on them to manage complexity. Instead, you learn to spot distortions early, correct course proactively, and build a decision-making process that welcomes doubt as a signal for closer inspection. As you close this section, take a deep breath and acknowledge your mind's remarkable adaptability. You've shone a light on the hidden biases that have guided countless judgments, sometimes away from truth. By practicing bias checks, journaling, group workshops, and mindful questioning, you recalibrate those mental shortcuts into reliable tools. Now, equipped with this awareness, you can approach information storms with a clearer lens, making decisions grounded in reality rather than tinted by bias. The path ahead is brighter, your mental compass sharper. You sit before a complex challenge, perhaps evaluating 2 competing project proposals, weighing career paths, or deciding how to allocate your limited time across multiple tasks. The swirl of options spins your mind in circles. Today, you dive deep into logical reasoning, arming yourself with deductive and inductive frameworks, decision matrices, and systematic analysis tools that transform chaos into clarity. Imagine logic as a bridge spanning 2 cliffs, one side stocked with raw information, data points, observations, anecdotes, and the other carved into solid conclusions you can stand on. Your job is to lay each plank carefully, ensuring it's sturdy before stepping forward. A misaligned plank, faulty reasoning, leads to a gap you could fall through. By mastering logical methods, you guarantee your bridge is safe, letting you traverse from evidence to insight with confidence. Logical reasoning takes 2 main forms: deductive and inductive. They are siblings, related yet distinct. Deductive reasoning starts with general premises and moves to a specific conclusion. If the premises are true and the logic valid, the conclusion must also be true. It's the top-down approach. For example, Number 1, all humans are mortal. 2, Socrates is a human. 3, therefore Socrates is mortal. because premises 1 and 2 are sound. The conclusion follows inexorably. Deduction offers certainty if constructed correctly. There's no room for doubt. In business, you use deduction when you know your rules and constraints precisely. If your company policy states all employee expenses over $500 require CFO approval, and an expense claim is $650, you conclude it needs CFO sign-off without further investigation. Inductive reasoning gathers specific observations and generalizes them into broader principles. It's a bottom-up approach. For instance, you observe that 3 different products you priced at $19.99 sold out rapidly. You might conclude, products priced at $19 in quarantine outperform those at $29.90. Induction offers probability, not certainty. You infer patterns from data, but remain open to exceptions. In real-world decision-making, inductive reasoning dominates. You examine trends, sales patterns, customer feedback, market indicators, and form hypotheses. Induction fuels innovation, but demands vigilance. No matter how many $19.99 successes you observe, the next product might buck the trend due to seasonality, product fit, or marketing differences. Experts weave both approaches. You begin inductively, gather data, detect patterns, form a working hypothesis, then apply deduction to test and enforce logical consistency. Imagine you notice that remote teams with daily stand-ups report a higher satisfaction. Inductive. You hypothesize, daily check-ins improve team morale. To deduce consequences, you ask, if daily check-ins truly boost morale, then teams without them should lag in satisfaction, and proceed to test that prediction. This blend yields robust conclusions you can act on. When options proliferate, a decision matrix transforms subjective weighing into objective computation. Picture a table. Rows for options, project A, B, SAME, and columns for criteria, cost. Potential ROI, ease of implementation, strategic alignment, assign weights to each criterion based on importance, e.g., think cost, adjunct 30%, ROI, she key 40%, ease, he key 15%, alignment, ET 15%. Then score each option on each criterion, EEG, scores 8, 10 on cost, AB scores 5 to 10, etc. Multiply scores by weights, sum the totals of D and rank options by their composite scores. This method forces you to clarify priorities, confront trade-offs, and justify choices with transparent logic. Rather than gut feel selecting the flashiest sounding project, you base decisions on a defensible matrix, making it easier to explain to stakeholders and revisit if circumstances change. In research-driven decisions, evidence quality matters. The key EAP test evaluates sources by currency, relevance, authority, accuracy, and purpose. Currency: how recent is the information? In fast-moving fields, outdated data can mislead. Relevance: does the source directly address your question? Data on US and car sales doesn't help you analyze European market trends. Authority: who is the author or publisher? Peer-reviewed journals and recognized experts outrank anonymous blog posts. Accuracy: are claims supported by evidence? Does the source cite its own references? Purpose: why was this information published? Advertising-driven content may skew facts toward sales pitches. Applying CRAA ensures you're building on stable ground, reducing the risk of basing your logic on shaky evidence. Beyond matrices, frameworks help orient your thinking. SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, all prompts you to map internal and external factors affecting a decision. You list strengths and weaknesses, internal, then opportunities and threats, external. By visually plotting these, you see where your project aligns with strengths and opportunities, or where threats match weaknesses, guiding strategic adjustments. Partial analysis. Political, economic, social, technological, legal, environmental broadens context. Before entering a new market, you assess political stability, economic trends, inflation rates, GDP growth, social attitudes, tech infrastructure, legal frameworks, and environmental regulations. Partial ensures you're not blindsided by factors outside your usual purview. 5 Whys is a root cause tool. Though you learned it previously for problem analysis, it also aids logical reasoning. When evaluating why a project succeeded or failed, you ask why 5 times, digging deeper each step. This recursive approach uncovers foundational premises you can test deductively. Logical fallacies corrode sound analysis. As you build your reasoning bridge, learn to spot and remove planks riddled with cracks, errors like ad hominem, attacking people instead of arguments, straw man misrepresenting an opposing view, slippery slope, assuming extreme outcomes without basis, and circular reasoning, using the conclusion as a premise. When you detect a fallacy, either in external arguments or your own reasoning, pause, restate the argument in fallacy-free terms, stripping away flawed logic. For instance, if someone argues, "We must adopt this software, everyone else is using it," that's bandwagon fallacy. You reframe. What objective metrics show this software's effectiveness compared to alternatives? The red model streamlines logical reasoning. 1. Recognize the claim or problem clearly. What exactly are you analyzing? 2. Evaluate evidence and assumptions systematically. Use CRAP, matrices, SWOT, and fallacy checks. 3. Decide based on your structured findings, articulating the logic path. Here's the evidence. Here's the analysis. Here's the conclusion. By chanting red in your mind when complexity rises, you ensure you follow disciplined steps rather than ad hoc leaps. Not all reasoning is numerical. Quantitative logic, data, statistics, percent changes offers precision but can mask nuance. Qualitative logic, interviews, observations, thematic analysis, captures context but risks subjectivity. The most reliable conclusions integrate both. For a product launch, you combine sales forecasts, quantitative, with focus group insights, qualitative. When people on the ground reveal unexpected preferences, you adjust the numerical models accordingly. Argument mapping visualizes reasoning structure. Start with a central conclusion at the top. We should expand into market X. Beneath, draw supporting premises. Premise 1, market X has 10% annual growth. Premise 2, our product addresses a local need. Branch out further by adding evidence nodes and counterarguments. This tree-like map exposes weak links, premises lacking evidence or contested by alternative data. As you refine the map, you strengthen your logical framework, clarifying where to gather more proof or revise your stance. In time-pressured scenarios, apply microversions of these methods. Use a mini matrix with 2 or 3 top criteria, or a swift CRAP check on your top sources. Run a 3-minute argument mapping. Jot down your conclusion. List 3 strongest premises. Then spend 1 minute listing potential counterpoints. This bite-sized approach preserves logical rigor even when quick action is required. Embed reasoning rituals into your workflow. Begin each major decision with a 5-minute ARE debriefing. Keep a template for decision matrices accessible. Label your documents with sections: claims, evidence, assumptions, counter evidence, conclusion. Over time, these structural habits become second nature, making logical rigor the default rather than the exception. Picture a pipeline. Data enters one end, flows through a filter of deductive and inductive processes, hinges on balanced skepticism, and emerges at the other end as a clean, actionable decision. Visualize each step lighting up as you progress. Recognize, evaluate, decide, ensuring you follow the entire sequence. As you close this section, inhale deeply. You've explored the twin engines of reasoning, deduction and induction, mastered decision matrices, embraced frameworks like SWOT, PESTLE, and the RED model, and equipped yourself to root out fallacies and biases in logic. With these tools, you build bridges that carry you confidently from raw data to robust conclusions. Now, anchored in sound logic, you stand ready to analyze any complex situation with clarity and precision. Your mind sharpened into a reliable instrument of insight. You feel the ticking clock's pressure, a drumbeat echoing in your mind as choices multiply and time dwindles. In these moments, rapid decision-making under pressure can feel like walking a tightrope above a canyon. One misstep, an impulsive choice, could send your plans tumbling. Today, you master strategies that balance speed with accuracy, ensuring that when stakes are high and seconds matter, you think swiftly without sacrificing sound judgment. Imagine standing at a crossroads during a sudden storm. Rain pelts your face, wind batters your coat, and the path behind you vanishes in swirling fog. You must choose a direction or risk being lost. You have no luxury of extended analysis. You need rapid frameworks that guide you safely. In this section, you'll explore the 2-minute rule, ICE prioritization, mental playbooks like if-then planning, pre-mortem exercises, and timed decision drills, all designed to streamline choice under duress. When urgent decisions arrive, your mind can either spiral or focus. The 2-minute rule forces a swift yet structured pause. Give yourself exactly 2 minutes to gather essential information, list key options, and make a choice. During those 120 seconds, ignore non-critical details. Aim to answer 3 questions. 1. What's at stake? Identify the core outcome you need: safety, cost, reputation, or time. 2. What's essential? Pinpoint the 1 or 2 factors that matter most to that outcome. 3. What's the decision? Choose the option that best addresses those essential factors. By confining your analysis to 2 minutes, you prevent analysis paralysis, excessive deliberation that wastes time, and forced prioritization. As the timer ends, commit to your decision and act decisively. You can refine later, but momentum is critical under pressure. In chaotic environments, you face multiple potential actions. Which do you tackle first? The ICE method ranks actions by impact, confidence, and ease. Impact. What positive effect will this action have? Confidence. How sure are you that it will achieve the intended result? Ease. How simple is it to implement? Score each action on a scale from 1 to 10 for each dimension. Then calculate ICE, Gingroho, impact enables confidence, Pamempla, ease, and Dada 3. Actions with the highest ICE scores go first. This trifactor approach ensures you focus on quick wins with substantial payoff, rather than spending precious time on low-impact or highly uncertain tasks. Imagine you must decide whether to call a key stakeholder, draft an alternative proposal, or reassign a team member. You score each option. The stakeholder call offers high impact, 9, moderate confidence, Imir 7, and high ease, IBI 8, for an ICE of 8. Drafting a new proposal scores lower on ease. Reassigning personnel scores lower on confidence. You dial the stakeholder first, securing critical support before tackling other tasks. It's counterintuitive. You imagine failure before it occurs to improve success. before finalizing any high-stakes decision. Convene your mind in a pre-mortem. Envision the project has already failed spectacularly. In 5 to 10 minutes, jot down every possible reason for that failure: missed deadlines, communication breakdowns, resource shortages, unforeseen regulations. This mental flip surfaces hidden risks your planning might have overlooked. Once you've listed potential failure modes, reverse engineer them into mitigation steps. If key data arrives late is a risk, schedule data checkpoints earlier. If budget overrun surfaces, build in contingency. A premortem shifts your mindset from blind optimism to strategic vigilance, grounding rapid choices in real-world foresight. Create mental playbooks in the form of if-then statements that automate responses under stress. For instance, if an email arrives labeled urgent, then pause for a 4 to an 8 breath before responding. If the stakeholder expresses anger, then apply the 5 to 4 3 to 2 1 grounding method silently. If project scope changes, then convene a 2-minute ICE prioritization session before acting. By predefining your reactions, you reduce some cognitive load in the moment. You don't need to invent solutions on the fly. You execute your own scripts, ensuring calm, consistent, effective responses, just as athletes train under simulated pressure. You train your mind with timed decision drills. Create hypothetical scenarios relevant to your work: urgent client requests, personnel conflicts, supply chain disruptions, and impose strict time limits of 1 to 3 minutes. Use a stopwatch, perform a mini 2-minute rule, or a quick IC scoring. Record your choices and outcomes. Review your performance. Did you identify key factors? Did you prioritize effectively? Did you succumb to anchoring or recency bias? Iteration refines your speed and accuracy, honing neural pathways that fire under pressure. Eventually, your mind transitions from reactive panic to pattern proficiency. Speed matters, but so does correctness. Use micro premortems when time allows. After a fast decision, spend 30 seconds imagining what could go wrong. Jot 1 or 2 notes. This quick reflection reveals blind spots, information you missed, or assumptions you overlooked. Incorporate immediate tweaks before execution. Similarly, embed a microcrab check for sources. In rapid research, glance at the date, author, and headline versus source credibility. Even a 10-second glance prevents reliance on blatantly outdated or dubious information. Under pressure, your working memory overloads. Combat this by chunking data into meaningful groups. Group tasks by category, cluster risks by similarity, segment options into urgent, important, and can wait. Each cluster reduces mental friction, letting you process several items as one unit. Over time, chunking becomes intuitive. You see patterns and structures instead of a chaotic list. When time allows a slightly longer pause, apply the 10-10-10 rule. Ask, how will I feel about this decision in 10 minutes? In 10 months? In 10 years? This temporal perspective prevents impulsive choices that favor immediate comfort over long-term benefit. In a crisis, your knee-jerk reaction might prioritize short-term patchwork. The 10-10 lens reorients you to sustainable outcomes, even when seconds are precious. Under duress, emotion surges, fear, anger, anxiety, clouding reasoning. Counter emotional hijacks with rapid checks. Label your emotion. I'm feeling anxious over E8. Then apply a quick breath or grounding technique. This microregulation stabilizes your nervous system, allowing logical methods, 2-minute rule, to operate effectively. You're not suppressing feelings. You're creating enough calm to think clearly. Use of heuristics. Heuristics are mental shortcuts, rules of thumb, that speed decisions. Examples include the 8D20 principle, focusing on the 20% of tasks that yield 80% of impact, and first principles thinking, breaking problems into fundamental parts. Use heuristics as starting points, then validate with minimal evidence. For instance, if you apply the 80-20 rule to sales leads, target the top 5 accounts before diving into the long tail. Leverage heuristics to triage options, then refine with ICE scoring or pre-mortems. Design standardized templates for common decisions, vendor selection, budget allocation, conflict resolution. Each template lists the key steps. Identify criteria, gather data, apply ICE, conduct micro pre-mortem, finalize choice, store templates in accessible locations, email drafts, shared drives, note-taking apps. When a decision arises, pull the template and populate fields rapidly. Templates minimize variability and ensure you follow best practices under stress. After the crisis passes, schedule a debrief, ideally within 24 hours. Reflect on: what decision frameworks did you apply? Which steps were skipped or rushed? What biases surfaced? What iterative improvements can you make? Document lessons learned and adjust your if, then playbooks and decision templates accordingly. Continuous feedback loops transform each high-pressure event into training for future resilience. If you lead teams, instill these methods collectively. Conduct simulations where everyone practices 2-minute rule or ICE prioritization. Hold post-simulation reviews, discussing what worked and where haste caused missteps. Celebrate rapid insights and transparent reporting of mistakes. This group practice synchronizes decision patterns, reducing chaos when real crises hit. Picture a flowchart in your mind. Start at decision trigger. Branch wheeze to 2-minute rule if under time pressure. Then ICE scoring. Arrow to select action. Loop back to micro pre-mortem, and finally to execute and debrief. Visual rehearsal embeds the sequence in your working memory. So when alarms blare or deadlines loom, you navigate the chart almost automatically. As you close this section, inhale deeply. You've equipped yourself with an arsenal for decision-making under pressure. The 2-minute rule to kickstart action. ICE to prioritize. Pre-mortems and if-then scripts to anticipate risks. Rapid drills to train reflexes. And debriefs to learn relentlessly. Now, all when the storm breaks and time evaporates, you won't freeze. You'll step forward methodically, sharply, and confidently, making smart choices even when every second counts. You stand before a tangled knot of challenges, a multifaceted problem that defies a quick fix. Perhaps it's launching a new product in an unfamiliar market, or resolving a team dynamic fraught with conflicting priorities. The complexity can feel paralyzing, like staring into a web with no clear way out. Today, you learn to dissect chaos with precision. You'll master the art of situation analysis, gathering and organizing data using the 5W1H framework, applying divide and conquer tactics, constructing problem trees, and visualizing mind maps. With these tools, you transform bewilderment into insight, revealing the clear pathways hidden beneath complexity. Imagine an ornate tapestry draped across a wall. Its intricate patterns mesmerize but overwhelm. You climb a ladder and examine one thread at a time, tracing how colors weave together, discovering the underlying structure. That's what situation analysis does for problems. It shifts your view from the whole, too large to comprehend picture to individual threads you can trace, understand, and reassemble into a coherent narrative. The 5W1H method is your reconnaissance toolkit for any situation. You systematically interrogate every element. Who are the stakeholders? Identify individuals, teams, or organizations involved or affected. List decision makers, influencers, impacted parties, and potential allies or opponents. Understanding motivations, financial, political, to personal, illuminates hidden drivers beneath surface actions. What is happening? Define the core event or problem in concrete terms. Is revenue underperforming? Is product quality declining? Avoid vague wording. Instead of sales issues, specify monthly sales dropped 15% in the Northeast region. When did it start, and what's the timeline? Chart key dates, onset of symptoms, interventions tried, seasonal factors, deadlines. A chronological map reveals patterns. Perhaps revenue dips every Q4 due to manufacturing delays. Where is the situation occurring? Geographic locations, business units, distribution channels. Problems may localize, a logistics bottleneck in one warehouse, or customer churn in a specific demographic. Why is this happening? Seek root causes, not just superficial triggers. Ask, what conditions must exist for this event to occur? And dig deeper through iterative why questioning. Your answers surface both direct and systemic factors. Supply chain disruptions, misaligned incentives, inadequate training. How is the issue unfolding? Examine processes, workflows, communication channels. How are decisions made? How do stakeholders interact? How does data flow? Mapping these mechanisms uncovers friction points and breakdowns ripe for intervention. As you run through each question, document findings in a structured table or bullet list. This comprehensive snapshot becomes the foundation for targeted analysis. When problems loom too large, you conquer by division. You identify natural subproblems, then tackle each in isolation before recombining insights. For example, if launching a product, you separate tasks into market research, supply chain logistics, regulatory compliance, marketing strategy, and customer support. You assign discrete teams or time blocks to each segment, preventing cognitive overload. Within each sub-problem, apply the 5W1 method again. Market research entails: who are target customers? What are their pain points? When do they purchase? Where do they seek information? Why do they choose competitors? How do they make decisions? By modularizing your analysis, you avoid being overwhelmed and build a step-by-step roadmap. A problem tree visualizes issues like a genealogical chart. At the trunk, write the central problem. High customer churn. High customer. Above the trunk, draw branches representing direct effects: revenue decline, negative reviews, reduced referrals. Below the trunk, draw roots representing causes: onboarding process flaws, product defects, ineffective customer support, poor user training. For each root cause, ask further why questions to uncover deeper roots. Does product defects stem from rushed development or lack of quality standards? Does support issues trace back to understaffing or training gaps? Continue until you reach actionable causes, those you can influence directly. With the problem tree fleshed out, you see where to allocate resources. Instead of guessing, you address high-impact roots, perhaps revamping onboarding and enhancing QA protocols, thereby stemming the churn cascade. Mind maps harness your brain's associative capabilities. Place the central issue in the middle of a blank page, declining market share. For instance, draw branches for major categories: competitors, product features, pricing, marketing, distribution, customer feedback. From each branch, draw sub-branches, under competitors. List key rivals, their strengths and weaknesses. Under pricing, note current price points, customer price sensitivity, competitor pricing. Use colors, icons, and imagery to reinforce memory and spark creative links. As ideas surface, potential partnerships, alternative distribution channels, messaging tweaks, you add them to appropriate nodes. Mind mapping externalizes mental clutter, revealing hidden relationships and sparking innovative solutions you might miss in linear lists. Your analysis is only as strong as your data. You need rigorous methods to gather, verify, and organize information. Use spreadsheets for quantitative data, sales figures, website metrics, survey responses. Maintain a database or document repository for qualitative insights, interview transcripts, focus group summaries, competitor audits. Tag each data point with source, date, context, and reliability rating. For example, Q1 sales data, ERP system export, high reliability, or customer interview, less than 10 participants, moderate reliability. This metadata ensures you weigh each input appropriately, avoiding over-reliance on dubious information. Situations evolve. One static analysis may fail to capture dynamic possibilities. Scenario analysis helps you anticipate different trajectories. Identify key uncertainties, market growth rate, regulatory changes, competitor moves, and create 3 to 5 plausible scenarios, best case, worst case, and intermediate variations. For each scenario, outline the sequence of events, triggers, and decision points. Map each scenario's implications for your strategy. If market growth accelerates, the best case, you might invest heavily in capacity. If regulatory hurdles arise, worst case, you prioritize compliance and contingency planning. Scenario analysis prevents tunnel vision, preparing you to pivot when realities shift. Complex situations often hinge on human dynamics. Stakeholder mapping charts individuals and groups, assessing their power, interest, influence, and relationships. Create a 2x2 grid, power, high-low versus interest, high-low. Place stakeholders accordingly. High power, high interest, top executives, regulators, engage closely. High power, low interest, board members, investors, keep informed. Low power, high interest, frontline employees, customers, consult and involve. Low power, low interest, general public, monitor minimally. Analyze connections, alliances, conflicts, information flows, and develop engagement strategies. Aligning stakeholders reduces resistance and amplifies support for your solutions. Situational factors extend beyond immediate variables. Conduct environmental scans to track macro trends, economic shifts, technological advancements, social movements, regulatory changes, ecological concerns. Was Mhessel analysis from Section 6 as a lens. Incorporate insights from industry reports, academic research, and expert interviews. Contextual scanning alerts you to emerging threats and opportunities you must weave into your analysis. Ignoring a nascent regulatory change could derail your project. Spotting it early lets you adapt proactively. A gap analysis compares current state with desired state. Define quantifiable targets, market share percentage, revenue figures, customer satisfaction scores, then measure actual values. The gaps you find, the 20% shortfall in customer retention, become focus areas. For each gap, map root causes using problem trees and develop targeted interventions. When solutions require testing, adopt rapid prototyping. Build minimal viable versions, mock-ups, pilot programs, A/B tests to gather real-world feedback quickly. A prototype of a new user interface might involve clickable wireframes that users navigate. Their reactions reveal usability issues faster than multi-month development cycles. In complex organizational changes, pilot in one department before scaling. Use lessons learned to refine your full rollout. Robust situation analysis merges numbers with narratives. Pair survey statistics with customer stories. Combine financial projections with cross-functional team workshops. Use data to inform hypotheses, then validate through interviews or focus groups. This mixed methods approach captures both the measurable and the human dimensions of complexity. Complex problems benefit from collective intelligence. Convene cross-functional workshops, marketing, finance, operations, customer service. Use visual tools, large problem trees, mind maps on whiteboards, sticky notes for 5W and 1H brainstorming. Facilitate sessions with clear agendas and roles. Scribe, timekeeper, devil's advocate. Collective analysis surfaces diverse perspectives, mitigating individual blind spots. Your analysis means little if it stays in your head. Structure a report with clear sections aligned to your frameworks. Executive summary, 5x1H overview, problem trees, mind maps, scenario analysis, stakeholder maps, recommendations. Use visuals, charts, diagrams, matrices to convey complexity succinctly. Share with stakeholders in interactive formats, slide decks with embedded questions, collaborative documents that invite comments. This transparency fosters alignment and empowers data-driven decision-making. Analysis without action is analysis for its own sake. Translate insights into an action plan, list initiatives, assign owners, set milestones, define metrics for success. Use your decision matrix tool to sequence tasks by impact and ease. Embed regular review checkpoints, weekly or monthly, to track progress and adjust as new information emerges. Imagine an integrated dashboard in your mind, 6 panels displaying WH summary, problem tree, mind map, scenario paths, stakeholder grid, and gap metrics. You flip between them seamlessly, drilling into details or zooming out for the big picture. Practice mental walkthroughs of this dashboard. Review it each morning to keep complex factors clear and actionable in your mind's eye. As you close the section, inhale deeply. You've acquired a toolkit for dissecting complexity. 5.1H questioning, divide and conquer structuring, problem trees, mind maps, environmental scans, stakeholder analysis, scenario planning, and gap assessments. You know how to prototype solutions rapidly, integrate quantitative and qualitative data, and translate analysis into action. Now, when complexity threatens to overwhelm, you'll approach it systematically, one thread at a time, revealing the clear patterns beneath the chaos and charting a confident course forward. You stand before the root of a persistent issue. Customer satisfaction slipping, deadlines chronically missed, equipment failures recurring, and you know surface fixes won't cut it. You need to drill down to foundational causes. Today, you master root cause problem analysis, the 5 whys technique, problem tree mapping, and fault tree analysis. With these tools, you will expose the hidden engines driving your challenges and design targeted interventions that address the source rather than the symptoms. Imagine you're a doctor and a patient presents with a fever. You could treat the fever with medication, symptom relief, but you must discover the underlying infection to cure the illness. The 5 whys works the same way, peeling back layers of symptoms until you reach the core cause. Problem trees map out cause-effect relationships, and fault tree analysis quantifies how causes combine. Begin with the problem statement at hand. For example, project was delivered late. Ask why and record the answer. For each answer, ask why again, repeating 5 times or until you reach an actionable root cause. E1. Problem. Project delivered late. O. Why? Tila miura 1. Because development took longer than scheduled. Madu. Why the 2? Because requirements changed mid-project. Turbid real, why the number 3 because stakeholders requested additional features. Breiterbert war, why did they break war? Because initial scoping was unclear. Durbid meef, why did your faith? Because stakeholder needs weren't gathered in a structured kickoff. You see, the actionable root cause is a lack of structured kickoff for requirement gathering, not that developers are slow. Thus, your intervention is to implement a formal kickoff process, complete with stakeholder interviews and documented requirements. You've learned the basics of problem trees before. Now you'll deepen your practice to reveal multi-tiered causal relationships. Place the core problem in the trunk. Recurring equipment breakdowns. Above, map direct effects, production delays, increased maintenance costs, safety incidents. Below, map direct causes, improper maintenance schedule, component wear, operator error. Then, for each direct cause, ask why to add secondary roots. Improper maintenance schedule and why? Because maintenance priorities aren't data-driven. Oh, why? Because equipment usage data isn't collected systematically. Component wear why? Because lubrication intervals are inconsistent. Why? Because lubricant type isn't specified in SOP. Operator error why? Because training is ad hoc. Why? Because no standardized training modules exist. By cascading roots downward, you chart a multi-level cause tree. Your interventions flow from the lowest actionable roots. Implement data-driven maintenance scheduling, standardize lubricant specifications, and develop formal training modules. While problem trees map cause-effect qualitatively, fault tree analysis adds a quantitative lens. FT begins with the top-level failure event, system outage, and uses logic gates and OR to model how combinations of lower-level events cause the failure. OR gate. The top event occurs if any input occurs, and gate. The top event occurs only if all inputs occur simultaneously. Consider system outage as the top event. You identify potential causes: power failure, software crash, network breach. You then ask, how can each cause be broken down? Power failure or gate. O grid outage or OUPS failure. Software crash and gate. O memory leak and O missing patch. Network breach or and gate. O external attack or O internal misconfiguration. You assign probabilities to each basic event based on historical data, e.g. a grid outage occurs 0.85% annually. PS failure 0.1%. By calculating fault tree metrics, you determine which basic events contribute most to system risk, guiding investment in mitigation like UPS upgrades or patch management. For complex systems, combine qualitative 5 whys with quantitative FTA. Use 5 whys to brainstorm potential fault tree branches, then feed those into your FTA model. This hybrid approach ensures you capture both human factors, like training gaps, and technical vulnerabilities, like software bugs. Another powerful tool is the fishbone diagram. Draw a horizontal arrow pointing to the problem statement. Then draw angled bones for major cause categories: people, process, equipment, materials, environment, management. Under each category, list specific causes. For quality defects, bones might include people, inadequate training, low morale; process, inconsistent procedures, lack of audits; equipment, calibration drift, outdated tools; materials, supplier variability, poor quality inputs; environment, temperature fluctuations, humidity; management, poor communication, unrealistic schedules. Fishbone diagrams visually organize multifactorial causes, helping teams brainstorm comprehensively and spot areas for deeper 5 whys or FTA whenever possible. Substantiate root cause analysis with data Use equipment logs, error reports, customer complaints, and service records. Apply Pareto analysis. Identify the 20% of causes responsible for 80% of failures. Focus on the vital few. For instance, if 80% of defects originate from 2 faulty suppliers, prioritize quality audits and supplier development programs there. After identifying a potential root cause, verify it before implementing solutions. Design a small experiment or run a pilot if inconsistent lubrication causes component wear. Implement a standardized lubrication schedule on one machine and track wear rates over a month. If wear decreases significantly, you confirm the cause. If not, you revisit your analysis. Once root causes are confirmed, craft targeted interventions. Use SMART criteria: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound to design actions. 4. Poor training modules. Actions might include develop a standardized online training course by Q3 with weekly progress tracking and competency assessments. Embedding metrics ensures accountability and enables ongoing review. Root cause analysis isn't a one-off event, it's a continuous cycle. After implementing interventions, monitor KPIs, defect rates, downtime metrics, customer satisfaction, and compare against baseline. If problems recur, loop back into 5 Whys or FTA, refining your understanding and solutions. This iterative improvement embeds analytical rigor into your organization's DNA. Engage cross-functional teams in root cause analysis. Diverse perspectives, operators, engineers, quality assurance, customer service, illuminate causes you might miss alone. Use structured facilitation. Start with problem statement. Choose RCA tool, 5 Whys, Fishbone, FTA. Assign roles, scribe, facilitator, data analyst, and time box to maintain focus. Collaborative sessions generate buy-in and tap collective expertise. Capture your RCA outputs, 5 Whys chains, Fishbone diagrams, fault trees in a shared repository. Use digital tools like diagramming software or collaborative whiteboards. Ensure each analysis includes problem statement, tool used, a cause hierarchy, data sources, validation steps, and recommended actions. Documentation preserves institutional knowledge and accelerates future RCA efforts. Make root cause analysis skills foundational for your team. Incorporate RCA tools into onboarding and professional development programs. Conduct workshops where small groups practice on real-world scenarios. Evaluate proficiency through exercises that assess accuracy in identifying root causes and designing interventions. Align root cause efforts with organizational objectives, reducing costs, improving quality, enhancing customer loyalty. When teams see how solving root causes advances strategic goals, you ignite motivation and secure resources. For example, highlight how reducing equipment downtime by 10% through improved maintenance saves $500,000 annually, directly bolstering profitability targets. Picture a layered map. At the top, the symptom. In the next layer, direct causes. Below, deeper causes. At the bottom, data-driven root causes. Overlay intervention blocks at each cause level, maintenance schedules, training modules, process audits, linked by arrows showing dependencies. Visualizing this map in your mind sharpens recall and guides implementation. As you close this section, inhale fully and acknowledge the power you now wield. Methods that strip away symptoms to reveal systemic truths. You've mastered the 5-wing problem tree mapping, fault tree analysis, fishbone diagrams, and data-driven validation. Equipped with these tools, you won't be satisfied with temporary fixes. You'll target the core, enact lasting change, and steer your projects toward sustainable success. You face a challenge that demands both imagination and rigor. A project stalled by conventional tactics. a marketing campaign that stagnates, or a personal goal that feels just out of reach. Today, you integrate creativity and structure, combining free-flow brainstorming with methodical frameworks like the ideal model and detailed action planning. This balanced approach unlocks novel solutions while ensuring they're practical, actionable, and aligned with your objectives. Imagine your mind as a two-part engine. The left cylinder sparks with wild ideas. The right cylinder refines them into viable strategies. If only one fires, you're either adrift in fantasy or bogged down in analysis paralysis. By synchronizing both, you produce the horsepower to drive breakthrough solutions. Throughout this section, you'll learn to generate a torrent of ideas, sift and shape them with structured models, and build robust action plans that turn vision into reality. Brainstorming is the alchemy of creativity, mixing diverse thoughts until gold emerges. To begin, 1. Define the focal question. Frame a clear prompt. How might we increase user engagement in our app? What novel revenue streams can we create? Precise questions focus creativity without stifling it. 2. Set boundaries and time limits. Paradoxically, constraints fuel creativity. Declare a 2 to 3 minute sprint where you generate as many ideas as possible, no matter how wild. Use a timer and enforce the rule. No evaluation during brainstorming. 3. Embrace wild ideas. Judge nothing. An idea? What if we gamify our support portal with augmented reality scavenger hunts? Might seem absurd, but could yield sparks for practical adaptations, like digital badges for community support contributions. 4. Build on others. In group sessions or solo mind maps, hitch a new thought to an existing one. If we gamify support, perhaps we can also crowdsource FAQ articles from users incentivized through points. 5. Quantity over quality. The goal isn't perfection, it's volume. Research shows that once you generate a critical mass of ideas, often around 20 to 30, the likelihood of breakthrough concepts rises dramatically. 6. Record everything. Capture ideas on sticky notes, digital whiteboards, or voice memos. Physical movement, writing, placing notes, engages your sensory motor systems, energizing creative pathways. After unleashing a torrent of ideas, you need structure to channel them into actionable solutions. The ideal model, identify, define, explore, act, look, provides a step-by-step scaffold. 1. Identify the problem. Restate your focal question. We need to boost app engagement by 20% in Q4. Clarifying the target grounds your analysis. Define goals and constraints. Translate the problem into measurable objectives and outline boundaries. Objectives: 20% engagement increase. Constraints: budget, development timeline, brand guidelines, clear parameters guide idea selection. 3. Explore strategies. Bring in your brainstorm outputs. Group similar ideas and evaluate them against goals and constraints. Use a simple scoring sheet. Feasibility, potential impact, resource requirements, alignment with brand. Score each idea from 1 to 5 on each criterion. Then calculate weighted totals to prioritize. 4. Act on the best options. Choose the top 2 or 3 high-scoring strategies and flesh them out. Develop mini action plans, each with specific steps, owners, deadlines, and success metrics. For gamify support, your action plan might include O research gamification platforms, owner, UX lead, due, 2 weeks. O pilot badge system for top contributors, owner, community manager, due, 1 month. O measure changes in help article creation and user participation, owner, data analyst, Do ongoing. 5. Look back and learn. After implementation, schedule a review. Compare actual performance to metrics. Did engagement rise 20%? Which strategies outperformed? Reflect on lessons learned and iterate. Document insights for the next cycle. Even the best ideas fizzle without concrete plans. Action planning transforms strategies into executable tasks. 1. Break down major tasks. For each strategy, list every step needed. If you decide to launch a virtual user conference, tasks include securing a platform, creating an agenda, booking speakers, marketing the event, preparing materials, and training moderators. Number 2. Assign ownership and accountability. Every task needs a single owner. Avoid diffusion of responsibility. If multiple people share a task, designate a lead. Use collaborative tools, project management software, Kanban boards, or shared spreadsheets to track assignments. Trick 3. Set deadlines and milestones. Time-bound tasks maintain momentum. A milestone might be conference agenda finalized by October 1st. Milestones let you monitor progress, celebrate small wins, and adjust course early. Number 4. Define clear deliverables. Ambiguous tasks breed confusion. Instead of develop marketing plan, specify complete a 10-page marketing plan document outlining target personas, channels, budgets, and KPIs. 5. Identify dependencies and risks. Map task dependencies. You can't design event materials until speakers confirm topics. Also list potential risks, speaker cancellations, technical glitches, and mitigation steps, like backup presenters or platform rehearsals. 6. Allocate resources, estimate budgets, personnel time, and technology needs. Secure necessary approvals early. If your plan requires new software, factor procurement lead times into your timeline. 7. Communicate the plan. Share action plans in clear formats, Gantt charts, bullet point summaries, or visual roadmaps. Ensure all stakeholders understand objectives, roles, and timelines. Open communication channels for questions and status updates. The tension between creative freedom and structured discipline is dynamic. Too much structure suffocates innovation. Too little leads to chaos. You manage this balance by alternating phases. Divergent phase. Brainstorm wildly. Explore peripherals. Hide your inner critic. Convergent phase. Apply Eidolon scoring and action planning to focus on high-potential ideas. Timebox each phase. For instance, spend the first hour of a workshop purely on divergent thinking. Then switch to a 90-minute convergent session using decision matrices. Your action plans should include clear KPIs, engagement rate, revenue impact, error reduction, or customer satisfaction scores. Set targets, increase community posts by 30%, generate 50,000 in incremental revenue, and track them weekly or monthly. Use dashboards to visualize real-time performance. At pre-defined intervals, conduct retrospective meetings. What worked? What didn't? Use questions like, which ideas outperformed expectations? Which plans failed? And why? What obstacles emerged? How can we adapt our strategies? Document adjustments and incorporate insights into your next cycle of brainstorming and planning. Continuous iteration turns one-off projects into an evolving engine of innovation. Collaboration amplifies creative and structured efforts. Use digital whiteboarding platforms for remote brainstorming. Features like sticky notes, freehand drawing, and voting streamline group creativity. For action planning, employ project management software, e.g., Trello, Asana, Jira, with tasks, assignees, due dates, and status labels. Integrate communication tools. chat channels, email threads, video calls, to maintain alignment, creative constraints, and provocative questions. Sometimes creativity stalls under too many options. Introduce provocative constraints to reignite thinking. Budget cap constraint. What can we achieve with only $1,000? Time cap constraint. What could we launch in 72 hours? Role reversal. How would our competitor solve this? Worst case innovation? What's the most absurd solution? And can we adapt elements of it? These prompts force departure from standard patterns, sparking breakthroughs you refine with structured evaluation. Consider a software company struggling with low trial-to-paid conversion rates. In a brainstorming session, they generated ideas from add virtual assistant features to offer gamified tutorials to partner with influencers. Using the ideal model, they scored each idea on impact, feasibility, and alignment. The top idea, gamified tutorials with achievement badges and progress bars, became a pilot. They broke down tasks, assigned roles, set milestones, and measured conversion changes weekly. Within 2 months, trial-to-paid conversion rose 15%, and user satisfaction scores improved. They then iterated, adding social sharing and community leaderboards, sustaining momentum. Organizations excel when they institutionalize cycles of divergent and convergent thinking. Encourage teams to schedule regular innovation sprints, creative bursts followed by structured evaluation days. Recognize and reward both wild ideation and disciplined execution. Celebrate successful experiments and fast failures equally, reinforcing that ingenuity and rigor are equally valued. Imagine a yin-yang symbol, the white swirl filled with small black dots, the black swirl with white dots. The white side represents creativity, chaos, wild ideas. The black side represents structure, order, disciplined planning. Northern Hemisphere, brainstorming. Southern Hemisphere, ideal and action plans. Visualizing this symbol in your mind reminds you to seek equilibrium, noticing when one side overtakes the other and consciously rebalancing. As you close this section, inhale deeply. You've armed yourself with methods to harness creativity without losing practicality. Free-flowing brainstorming unlocks novel possibilities. The ideal model and action planning channel those possibilities into structured, measurable strategies. You balance the spark of invention with the steadiness of execution, producing solutions that are both bold and built to last. Now, you stand ready to tackle any challenge with a mind that imagines brilliantly and plans meticulously, creating and implementing transformative ideas with confidence and precision. You find yourself at a crossroads with your long-term vision in sight, yet immediate demands clamoring for attention. Launch a new product, and tomorrow's market could be a desert of outdated features. Delay too long, and a competitor seizes the opportunity. Today, you cultivate future-proof strategic thinking, the ability to make choices now that stand the test of time. You'll learn to connect today's actions to tomorrow's goals through future self-exercises, decision trees, scenario planning, tiny habits, and regular self-reflection. With these practices, you ensure your decisions aren't fleeting fixes, but enduring foundations. Imagine you're navigating a ship across a shifting sea. Short-term winds can push you off course unless you maintain a course toward a distant lighthouse on the horizon. That lighthouse is your future self, a vision of who you want to become in 5, 10, or 20 years. By charting your actions today with that vision in mind, you align daily choices with lasting outcomes, turning each decision into a measured step toward your desired destination. Begin with visualization. Close your eyes and transport yourself 5 to 10 years into the future. Picture your ideal life. career achievements, personal accomplishments, relationships, health, and values. What are you doing? Where are you? How do you feel? Stand in that future moment and look back at your present self. Ask, what choices would my future self thank me for today? Allow that perspective to shape your decision-making. Capture insights in writing. Describe your future self in vivid detail. Then list 3 actions you can take now that directly support that vision. For example, if your future self leads a thriving remote team, you might commit to mastering virtual collaboration tools today, scheduling weekly one-on-ones, and studying effective remote leadership techniques. When choices appear binary, explore them through decision trees that project outcomes across time. Draw your decision at the root. Invest in product feature A versus invest in feature B. From each branch, map immediate consequences, then secondary effects months or years ahead. Continuously branching out for 2 to 3 layers. Label each node with estimated probabilities and impact levels: high, medium, low. For instance, choosing feature A, an innovative AI module, may yield high user excitement, but require extensive R&D costs, delaying release by 6 months. Feature B, an incremental UI improvement, might deliver moderate engagement boosts quickly and maintain steady revenue streams. By visualizing these paths, you see which choice aligns best with your long-term growth and risk tolerance. Future-proof thinking thrives on preparing for multiple plausible futures. Identify 2 or 3 critical uncertainties: market adoption rates, regulatory shifts, technology disruptions, and develop scenarios around them. Categories 1. Rapid growth scenario. Market demand doubles in 2 years. 2. Regulatory hurdles. Scenario. New compliance requirements emerge. 3. Technological disruption. Scenario. A rival platform integrates a breakthrough feature. For each scenario, outline strategic moves, partnerships, R&D pivots, contingency budgets, or advocacy efforts. Assign trigger points, indicators that signal which scenario is materializing, e.g., government draft regulations, competitor patents, early adoption metrics. This preparedness ensures you can pivot promptly, rather than scrambling when change arrives. Major goals can stall without daily reinforcement. Adopt the tiny habits method. Anchor a new micro-behavior to an existing routine. Celebrate immediately, and let momentum build. For instance, anchor, after your morning coffee, tiny habit. You write 1 sentence in your strategic journal about long-term goals. Celebration, pat yourself on the back or say yes internally. Over days, those sentences accumulate into a robust log of insights and progress checkpoints, connecting daily micro-actions to macro visions. Regular self-reflection rituals. Future-proof thinking demands ongoing adjustment. Schedule weekly or monthly reflection sessions. Review goals. Revisit your future self statement. Are you on track? Assess actions. Examine which actions moved you forward and which diverted energy. Adjust plans. Tweak priorities. Reset deadlines. Or revise strategies based on new information. Use prompts like, "What did I learn this week that affects my long-term vision?" And, "Which decisions this month aligned best with my future goals?" Document reflections in a journal or digital tool to track evolving insights. Every decision, big or small, can be a strategic lever. Train yourself to ask, how does this choice serve my 5-year goals? Pair this question with your 2-minute rule. In 2 minutes, list 3 future alignment rationales for each option. If the rationale is weak or forced, re-evaluate. This habit prevents drift away from your vision when day-to-day pressures mount. Run strategy simulations based on your scenario plans. Gather your team and for each scenario, ask, if this future arrives next quarter, what's our first 3 steps? Time box each drill to 10 minutes. These practice runs sharpen your team's readiness and reveal potential gaps in resources or knowledge. Establish long-term KPIs that tie daily measures to ultimate objectives. For career growth, track skill acquisition, courses completed, certifications earned, alongside project successes. For business strategy, monitor customer lifetime value and innovation pipeline metrics, not just quarterly revenue. Visualize KPIs on dashboards and review them quarterly in your self-reflection sessions. Use digital tools to keep your future self in focus. Set monthly calendar reminders with personalized prompts. Remember your future vision. Lead remote teams with empathy. Use productivity apps that allow recurring notes on your lock screen or desktop background. These subtle cues maintain strategic awareness amid urgency. Future-proof thinking requires risk management for sustained progress. Allocate buffers on time, budget, or capacity to absorb shocks. For every major initiative, reserve 10 to 20% additional resources for contingencies. Document fallback options. If X fails, pivot to Y. If budget cuts occur, prioritize core features. No vision thrives in isolation. Identify partners, vendors, mentors, allies who share your long-term objectives. Cultivate these relationships proactively. Schedule quarterly check-ins. Co-develop joint experiments. Share insights. Collaborative networks amplify resilience. When one node stumbles, others offer support. Stay ahead of trends by committing to lifelong learning. Dedicate time each week to scan industry reports, attend webinars, or read thought leadership on emerging fields. Tag key insights in your strategic journal. Over time, you'll build a repository of foresight that informs scenario planning and decision trees. Future-proof thinking balances urgency with patience. Remember, compound growth is incremental. A 1% improvement daily multiplies over years. When impatience tempts you to chase quick wins at the expense of strategic depth, revisit your future self anchor. Recognize that sustainable success unfolds over time, not in sudden leaps. Imagine a series of stepping stones across a river, each stone a milestone in your long-term plan. Some stones require big leaps, major initiatives. Others are small, steady steps, tiny habits. Visualize yourself crossing, pausing briefly on each stone to ensure stability before moving on. This mental map guides you across uncertain waters toward your distant goals. As you close this section, inhale deeply. You've embraced future-proof strategic thinking, visualizing your future self, mapping decision trees, planning scenarios, cultivating tiny habits, and reflecting regularly. With buffers, partnerships, and continuous learning, you're not merely reacting to today's demands. You're forging a resilient path toward tomorrow. Now, each decision you make is a measured stride across your strategic stepping stones, steady, purposeful, and aligned with the horizon you envision. You stand at the edge of today, gazing into tomorrow's horizon, aware that every choice you make now ripples into an uncertain future. Your next product launch, leadership decisions, or personal growth plans must endure shifting landscapes. Economic upheavals, technological leaps, cultural shifts. Today, you master future-proof strategic thinking. The art of making decisions that serve you not just now, but for years to come. You'll learn to envision your future self. Map decisions across multiple timelines with decision trees. Prepare for diverse scenarios. Build tiny habits that compound. And cultivate reflective practices that recalibrate your course regularly. With these tools, you transform short-sighted fixes into lasting foundations. Imagine your journey as a river flowing toward an ocean you cannot yet see. Along the banks lie choices, small tributaries that can lead you off course into barren terrains or toward abundant deltas of opportunity. Future-proof thinking equips you with a compass pointed at your long-term goals and a map of possible waterways. So you steer steadily despite rapids and tributaries. Begin by closing your eyes and projecting yourself 5 to 10 years ahead. See the person you want to be, professional achievements, relationships, health, values. Feel the pride in their accomplishments, the balance in their daily life, the clarity in their mind. Then gently shift your view back to today's moment, carrying the wisdom of that future self. Ask, what one decision would my future self thank me for making today? Write down 3 actions that directly connect to that vision. For a future self leading global teams, those actions might include mastering remote collaboration tools, scheduling weekly cross-time zone check-ins, and studying cross-cultural communication. By anchoring in a vivid future self, you ensure today's choices align with lasting aspirations. When faced with a pivotal choice, sketch a decision tree that branches into immediate and downstream effects. At the root, place your decision, launching feature X or feature Y, accepting job A or job B, investing time in skill A or B. From each branch, map subsequent consequences 1 year, 5 years, and 10 years out. Label nodes with qualitative impacts: growth, risk, learning, probabilities, high, medium, low, or quantitative estimates where possible. For example, choosing to invest in a new technology platform may incur short-term costs and learning curves, but yield competitive advantage and scalability a few years on. The alternative, optimizing existing systems, offers quick wins with lower risk, but may plateau. Mapping these timelines side by side illuminates which option best serves your long-term vision. The future rarely unfolds linearly. Instead, construct 3 to 5 plausible scenarios based on key uncertainties, regulatory shifts, market trends, technological breakthroughs, geopolitical events. For each scenario, outline 1. Triggers, indicators that signal which scenario is emerging. 2. Possible outcomes, best case or worst case, and intermediate developments. 3. Strategic moves, predefined actions or contingencies to deploy when triggers appear. Scenario 1. Rapid tech adoption. Partner with early adopters. Scale infrastructure proactively. Invest in training. Scenario 2. Regulatory tightening. Allocate budget for compliance. Lobby for policy adjustments. Diversify into less regulated markets. Scenario 3. Economic downturn. Shift focus to customer retention. Streamline operations. Develop low-cost service tiers. Regularly monitor your trigger indicators, quarterly GDP reports, patent filings, regulatory announcements, and be ready to pivot according to your scenario playbooks. This practice shifts you from reactive crisis management to proactive strategic adaptation. Grand visions falter without daily reinforcement. Use the tiny habits method to anchor future-focused behaviors. Anchor moment: after brushing your teeth each morning. Tiny habit: write 1 sentence in your strategic journal about how today's tasks tie to your 5-year goals. Celebration: nod, smile, or say yes inwardly. Over weeks, those sentences accumulate into a journal of strategic insights and action items. Tiny habits compound. In months, you have a robust roadmap connecting daily work to long-term success. Allocate time weekly or monthly for reflection. Take your turn of future self. Check in to reread your future self vision. Are your recent decisions aligned? Review. Examine metrics tied to your long-term objectives, skills certifications earned, project milestones met, revenue growth, health metrics. 3. Bias and assumption audit. Identify whether cognitive biases or outdated assumptions swayed you. 4. Strategic adjustments. Update your decision trees, scenario plans, and tiny habits based on new data and insights. This reflective loop transforms strategic thinking from static plans into a living process that adapts to changing realities. Short-term achievements build momentum but can distract from the horizon. For every opportunity, ask, immediate impact, what benefit do I gain this week or month? Future alignment. How does this move me toward my 5-year vision? If an urgent request yields minimal future value, consider delegating or scheduling it later. If a long-term project shows only slow progress now, decide whether to sustain it or pivot based on its strategic weight. This conscious balancing prevents mission drift. Anticipate setbacks by building buffers, extra time, budgetary reserves, capacity for key initiatives. For each major plan, allocate a 10 to 20% contingency, time buffers and schedules, financial cushions and budgets, staffing redundancies, document fallback options. If feature X fails, pivot to feature Y. If a partner deal falls through, have alternative vendors ready. These pre-planned contingencies reduce stress and enable agile responses to surprises. Your vision gains reach when you collaborate. Identify allies, mentors, peers, vendors, whose strengths complement your goals. Invest in these relationships proactively. Share your future self visions. Co-develop pilot projects. Exchange insights regularly. Networks expand your strategic bandwidth and provide support when challenges arise. Stay informed about macro trends and emerging fields. Dedicate regular slots, weekly or monthly, to read industry reports, attend webinars, or join professional communities. Tag insights relevant to your scenario plans and decision trees. Over time, you build a foresight repository that informs real-time strategy updates. If you lead a team, integrate these practices collectively. Vision shares. Begin meetings with a 5-year vision reframing. How today's agenda connects to long-term objectives. Scenario drills. Quarterly workshops where team members run scenario planning exercises and challenge each other's assumptions. Tiny habit check-ins. Start stand-ups with a quick tick-off of daily future-focused micro-actions. Reflection circles. Monthly peer groups share strategic reflections, bias audits, and updates to decision trees. Collective future-proofing cements these skills into organizational DNA, ensuring resilience beyond individual efforts. Create visual dashboards that combine decision trees, scenario matrices, KPI trends, and future self-reminders. Use digital tools, Miro, Lucidchart, or specialized strategy software to layer these visuals, enabling quick overviews and then deep dives. Visual dashboards keep complex information accessible and support real-time decision alignment. Future-proof thinking operates at macro, vision, and micro, daily habits scales. Use your morning ritual to link micro actions, journal entries, bias checks to macro outcomes. At the same time, zoom out weekly or monthly to see how micro actions aggregate into KPI movements. This zooming in and out prevents both tunnel vision and overwhelm. Not all outcomes appear overnight. Compound growth requires patience and persistence. Adopt the 10-10-10 rule selectively. Ask how you'll feel about each decision in 10 minutes, 10 months, and 10 years. This temporal perspective curbs impulsivity and reinforces long-term thinking, especially when short-term pressures loom large. Recognize and celebrate when micro-habits compound into significant progress. Mark quarterly milestones, completed certifications, project deliverables, prototype launches, with team acknowledgements or personal rewards. Celebrations reinforce that small, consistent actions drive major strategic advances. Envision a timeline stretching ahead, dotted with milestone markers linked by a ribbon of your decisions. On each marker, skill mastery, product launch, network expansion. You see how past choices propelled you forward. Between markers, tiny arrows represent micro habits, weaving daily threads into the fabric of your future success. This mental image anchors you in both present actions and distant goals. As you close this section, inhale deeply. You've mastered future-proof strategic thinking, anchoring in your future self, mapping decision trees, planning scenarios, building compounding tiny habits, reflecting regularly, balancing short-term and long-term, and embedding these practices into culture and environment. Now, every decision you make carries the weight of lasting purpose, guiding you steadily across today's uncertainties toward the horizon of your aspirations. You inhale and notice the echo of your calm breath merging with the spark of your critical mind. All the tools you've mastered, mindful grounding, self-compassion, purposeful questioning, bias checks, logical frameworks, rapid decision drills, systematic analysis, root cause interventions, creative structured problem solving, high-pressure decision frameworks, and future-proof strategies now come together in a cohesive approach you can sustain for life. Today, you learn how to integrate these skills into a seamless practice, weaving them into your daily routines, habits, and organizational culture so they become second nature rather than occasional tactics. Imagine your mind as a well-tuned orchestra. Each instrument, breath, compassion, curiosity, logic, creativity, decisiveness, foresight, must play its part at the right moment in harmony with the others. If one instrument plays too loudly or falls silent, the composition falters. Your job as conductor, blending these elements into a symphony of calm, clear, and strategic thinking. Begin each morning with a short ritual that primes all your skills. Upon waking, Knack 1, mindful breathing. 2 minutes, sit upright. Breathe 4 7 8 for 4 cycles. This anchors calm before the day's demands. 2, self-compassion. Check, 1 minute. Place a hand over your heart and repeat, "May I treat myself with kindness today?" This sets a supportive emotional baseline. 3, future self-review, timer 2 minutes. A glance at your written future self-statement. Ask, what one action today will my future self thank me for? Near or critical question of the day. And 1 minute. Write a question you'll apply to decisions today. What assumptions underlie this meeting agenda? Or what evidence would I need to challenge my initial view? Number 5. Bias alert note. Near 1 minute. Jot a reminder of one bias you'll watch for. Anchoring, a confirmation, or availability today. 6. Top 3 priorities. 2 minutes. Use ICE scoring to rank your day's tasks by impact, confidence, and ease. List the top 3. This 7 to 10 minute ritual aligns your mind's elements: calm, compassion, clarity, critical inquiry, bias, vigilance, logical prioritization, and strategic foresight. And throughout the day, integrate micro practices to reinforce your skills when you need them. Grounding. Snippet. At random intervals, use a Pomodoro app or calendar chime. Trigger a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 sensory check or a single box breath cycle to reset focus. Self-compassion. Pause when you notice self-criticism signaled by physical tension. Pause, place a hand on your chest, and offer one compassionate phrase. Critical inquiry tag. Label meetings or emails with sticky notes that ask, What's the key claim? What's the evidence? This primes you to sift facts from opinions. Bias pop-up alert. Install a desktop or browser widget with a daily bias tip, cycling through your top 6 biases. Each time it appears, run a quick bias check on your current assumption. Decision toolbox. Keep a note card with prompts. 2-minute rule, I score, pre-mortem, if, and then plan. When dilemmas arise, glance at your toolbox prompts and choose a method. Analysis. Whiteboard. Maintain a small portable whiteboard or digital canvas where you jot 5 bubby 1H notes. Sketch a mini problem tree, or mind map a quick solution as issues emerge. These micro-practices ensure you don't wait for a formal session to apply your skills. You weave them seamlessly into every interaction and decision. At week's end, schedule a 15 to 20-minute reflection session. 1. Review ritual logs. Look at your morning ritual entries. Did you maintain consistency? Which elements felt effortless? Which felt forced? Chapter 2. Assess key decisions. Choose 2 significant decisions you made. Map them against the frameworks you've learned. ICE scoring, RED model, scenario analysis, root cause tools. Did you apply the right methods? What outcomes emerged? 3. Identify bias triggers. Reflect on moments when biases crept in. Use your journal notes to spot patterns. Are you anchoring on initial estimates? Relying on vivid anecdotes? Plan bias-specific countermeasures for next week. Year 4. Measure progress toward future goals. Check your long-term KPIs. Are tiny habits stacking up? Are future self-action items completed? Adjust priorities to realign daily tasks with long-term strategy. 5. Plan next week's ritual focus. Based on gaps. Perhaps you drifted from future self-reviews or skipped problem tree analysis. Decide one skill to emphasize next week. This guided reflection closes the feedback loop, reinforcing mastery and preventing skill decay. Once a month, allocate a longer block, 1 hour, to dive deeply into one domain. Mindfulness and calm. Explore advanced techniques, walking meditation variations, guided compassion meditations, or new grounding exercises. Self-compassion. Mastery. Practice extended compassionate journaling and letter writing for deeper emotional resilience. Advanced critical thinking. Study complex fallacy patterns. Challenge your logical frameworks. And practice argument mapping on op-eds or white papers. Bias-busting bootcamp. Conduct group workshops where you and colleagues analyze current projects for hidden biases and role-play devil's advocate scenarios. Strategic scenario planning. Update scenario plans based on new market intel. Draft revised decision trees and test future-proof strategies against emerging trends. These skill-focused sessions sharpen your expertise and introduce fresh variations, keeping your toolkit dynamic. If you lead or belong to a team, embed integration across your group. Daily stand-up rituals. Begin team huddles with a 1-minute mindful breath and a question like, what evidence challenge are you facing today? Weekly bias check-in. Dedicate part of your team meeting to surface biases. Each person calls out one bias they observed in the week's work and offers a corrective suggestion. Monthly innovation journal share. Team members share insights from their future self journals and discuss progress toward collective strategic goals. Quarterly RCA and solution hackathons. Rotate through root cause analysis exercises on ongoing issues, paired with creative structured brainstorming sessions to prototype solutions and action plans. Shared dashboard. Maintain a visual dashboard tracking calm practice adherence, bias journal entries, decision method usage, strategic alignment and KPIs, and outcome metrics Transparency builds collective accountability. By integrating individual mastery into collaborative culture, you foster an environment where calm, compassion, clear thinking, and strategic foresight become make-ish. Your surroundings shape behavior. Design an environment that cues mastery. Visual reminders. Place framed prompts. Breathe, question, choose in your workspace. Accessible tools. Keep a small notebook labeled a bias log on your desk, a set of colored markers for mind maps, and Post-it stacks for brainstorming. Digital templates. Create templates for ICE matrices. Ready analysis. Find BB1H tables and smart action plans in your note-taking app. Use them habitually for every decision. Calm zones. Designate a physical or digital quiet corner for micro-meditations. An icon on your desktop that opens a soothing background and timer. Scheduled reminders. Program your calendar with recurring events, morning rituals, micro-practice reminders, reflection sessions, deep dive workshops. Automated nudges keep you on track without relying on willpower alone. By stacking new practices onto existing routines and shaping your environment to cue them, you automate mastery. Tracking and celebrating incremental wins fuels motivation. Weekly checkpoints. At each reflection session, note one skill you strengthened: faster decision under pressure, clear problem tree creation, deeper compassion. Milestone rewards. When you maintain daily rituals for a month, treat yourself an extra hour of personal time, a favorite meal, or a short getaway. Peer recognition. Share successes in team meetings. Recognize colleagues who applied ICE effectively or surfaced critical biases, reinforcing desired behaviors. Learning badges. Award digital badges for mastering each major domain: Mindfulness Master, Bias Buster, Logic Guru, Decision Dynamo, Strategy Architect. Display them on your personal profile to honor effort. Positive reinforcement embeds these complex practices into your identity, making them integral to how you see yourself. Life and work evolve. Your mastery must adapt too. Periodically reassess. Skill relevance. Are new biases emerging in your industry? Are fresh decision frameworks needed for emerging technologies? Environmental shifts. Has remote or hybrid work altered how you apply mindfulness or collaboration rituals? Personal growth. As you ascend in responsibility, calibrate future self-visions and update KPIs to reflect new horizons. Continuous adaptation ensures your integrated mastery remains powerful and relevant. Picture a weaving loom. Each strand, calm, compassion, critical thinking, bias checks, logical frameworks, creativity, rapid decision-making, root cause analysis, future-proof planning, is woven together into a resilient fabric. Each day you pull a lever, your morning ritual, micro-practice, reflection, deep dive, and the loom hums, interlacing threads imperceptibly. Over time, a tapestry of integrated mastery forms, strong enough to cover any challenge and flexible enough to adjust to new patterns. As you conclude this section, inhale deeply and exhale slowly. Feeling the synergy of your combined skills, you've learned not just individual techniques, but how to orchestrate them into a sustainable practice that evolves with you and extends across your teams. You're no longer a collection of separate tools. You're a living system of calm, clarity, compassion, creativity, and strategic foresight. Now equipped with integration strategies, habit designs, collaborative rituals, and adaptive mindsets, you stand as a master of calm critical thinking, your symphony of skills ready to harmonize any complex situation, today and for the long journey ahead. You've traveled through a vast landscape of techniques and frameworks, each one designed to sharpen your mind, steady your heart, and guide your actions. Now, let's soften the pace. Take a deep breath and allow the rhythm of your exhale to linger in your chest. Feel the gentle rise and fall of your shoulders, the subtle ground beneath your feet, the warmth of your hand resting over your heart. Imagine a quiet meadow at dusk, the sun's last rays painting the sky in soft amber. A gentle breeze rustles the grass, carrying the promise of renewal. In this moment, there is nothing to prove. You've done the work of building your inner toolkit. You can trust these skills to be there when storms arrive. Let go of any pressure to master everything overnight. Growth unfolds at its own pace, not like buds slowly opening to the morning light. Each breath you take, each mindful pause, each compassionate thought, and every clear come logical step you choose adds a thread to the tapestry of your resilience. Rest in the knowledge that calmness, critical thinking, and strategic foresight are gifts you give to yourself every day. They are not trophies displayed once and forgotten, but living practices that deepen with each use. As you move forward, carry a gentle curiosity. Observe how your mind responds, how your habits shape your experience, and how your vision for the future unfolds one thoughtful action at a time. Let the softness of this moment settle around you like a warm blanket. Know that you have everything you need within you: the stillness to listen, the kindness to nurture, the clarity to analyze, and the courage to decide. Now, when you step away from this journey, carry its essence quietly in your pocket, ready to unfold whenever you need it. You are prepared, you are capable, and your adventure continues, calm, clear, and wise.